Hey there, today we are going to continue our study of using the standard algorithm for multiplying. Remember, algorithm means steps you follow to get the right answer to a math problem. Standard means the way that most people do it. So what we're working on right now is the way that most people solve multiplication problems because it's fast and there's not as much writing to do. But we learned the other two ways, the array and the box method, because they help us better understand place value and why we do adding when we multiply. So we're going to start by going through this page of notes together, using 3-digit numbers today instead of just 2-digit. And then when we're finished, you'll go ahead and complete this worksheet on your own for practice. So looking at this, we're going to start with the problem 123 times 5. 123 times 5. We'll review how to solve it with the array and the box method, and then we'll make connections between those two ways of solving it and our standard algorithm that we're learning. So 123 times 5 has, that number 123 has 3 digits. That means we've got 3 place values to work with. So we have a 100 section, a 10 section, and a 1 section. So 3 multiplication problems. Let's go ahead and start with multiplying in the hundreds place for this array. And I'm going to do the array and box method at the same time because they really are the same problem. So 100 times 5 would equal 500 for both of those. Now we're going to move on to the 2 that's in the tens place. So we have 20 in each row times 5 rows in the tens place. And multiplying that out, it's 2 times 5 is 10, but since it's in the tens place, we have to stick that 0 at the end as a placeholder, so that gives us 100 for both of those. And then our last section is to multiply by the ones. There's 3 little ones in the number 123, and we're going to multiply that times 5 in each row. That little section there is 15 squares. Then, of course, after we've done all that, then our final step is to go ahead and add all of those together to get our final answer. So we're going to add our 500 plus our 100 plus our 15. And when we add that up, it's a pretty easy problem to solve. It gives us 615. Now, the big idea I want you to take away from what we just did is that when we're multiplying by a 3-digit number, we have 3 digits. So that means we've got 3 separate place values and 3 separate multiplication problems to do. And then, of course, we have to add those separate sections up to get our final answer. Now, with array and box method, we started in the hundreds place, and then did tens, and then did ones, and we did all of the adding at the very end. As we do the standard algorithm, we're going to do the same multiplication problems, but we will start on the right-hand side with the ones place first. Just like we do when we add or subtract numbers, we start in the ones place on the right. And we do that because we regroup as we go. So rather than waiting until the very end and doing all of the adding together at the end of a problem, when we do our standard algorithm, we add the numbers as we go. So we multiply, regroup, add in anything that we have from the regrouping, multiply again, regroup, add in anything, we just keep going. So that's what makes it faster to do. So let's try it with this 3-digit number, 123 times 5. And we're going to use Steve the Seagull to help us with today's problems. Yesterday we used bunny ears to help us with the 2-digit. But for 3-digit, it works out really well to use a bird's foot since it's got 3 toes. So excuse us, Steve the Seagull. Thanks for joining us today. I'm just going to borrow your foot for a moment. Don't worry, it won't hurt you. Just let me grab that, pull that away. There we go. Oh, he looks kind of angry at me. It's okay, Steve. I promise I will give your foot back right as soon as we're done with this problem. Okay, so here's Steve's foot over here with his 3 toes, and those represent the 3 place values we're going to multiply by. So starting in our ones place, we do 5 times 3, which is still 15. But remember, we're not going to write that 15 right there in that column. We're going to regroup. So we're going to write our 1 up there in the tens place and write our 5 down here, 15. Next, we're going to move on to Steve's second toe, which is the tens place. So we're going to multiply that 5 times 2, and that gives me 10. And if you remember in our box number and array, we did 5 times 2 is 10, and then we stuck that 0 at the end because it was in the tens place and we needed a placeholder. Here, because we are multiplying and separating out by place value, we don't need that placeholder. We just do 5 times 2 is 10. Then we have to add in our 1 more. So we don't write down 10 here, we think of it as 11. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 more is 11. But instead of writing it down here, I have more to multiply by. So I have to regroup again. So my 11 is going to get written down as the 1 up here and the 1 down there. And then our last section that we do is our hundredths place. So that would be 5 times 1, and that is 5. Just like we had that big section that was 5 times 1, 100, that was 500. And then we have 1 more 100 to add in there from the tens place problem we did. So that would give us 600. And then of course my last step is to make sure that I return Steve's foot to him so that he is happy. And we got 615, just like we did before. Let's go ahead and try some more problems together and practice these so you feel more comfortable with these steps before I let you do the worksheet on your own. So, I'm sorry, Steve, actually, we need to borrow your foot again. It's okay, we'll give it back, but it really did come in handy the last time. So let me just borrow that from you, and it's okay, we'll give it back, calm down. Okay, all right, so here's Steve's foot to help us out with his 3 toes, and we'll just borrow it to look at to help us with these problems. So this first problem, 763 times 2, when we do our ones place as our first step, 3 times 2 is 6. And it's just a single digit answer, so we don't have to do any regrouping. We just write down the 6, that's it. That moves us over to our tens place. So we're gonna do 2 times 6, and 2 times 6 is 12. But we're not gonna write our 12 down here because we still have more to multiply out by. So instead of writing it there, we go ahead and regroup and bump it over to the next place value. So we'll write our 1 for 12 up here, and our 2 down there. And then that moves us to our hundredths place. In our hundredths place, our last little toe, we have 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 more. 14 plus 1 is 15, so my answer is 1,526. And I really should put a comma in there, but I forgot to add it in there. Let's go and look at 419 times 4. Starting in our ones place, we do 4 times 9 is our first section. And to figure out 4 times 9, we can use our finger trick since it's a 9 stack. So we would go ahead and count down to our 4th finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put our 4th finger down since we're multiplying by 4. Everything to the left of it is our tens place, that's a 3. Everything to the right of it is our ones place, that's 6. So it gives us 36. And I go ahead and regroup. So the 3 goes up here and the 6 goes down there. Now I multiply by the tens place. So in the tens place, I have 4 times 1. 4 times 1 is 4, but there's 3 more there that I have to add in. So as you can see, I'm doing the adding as I go rather than waiting till the very end to do one big addition problem. So adding in the regrouping, I get 7 in the tens place. And then my last section here is the hundredths place. And I don't have anything that I have to regroup from the tens place. I got a single digit answer of 7. I just write it down. And in the hundredths place, I have 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Nothing else to add in. So I just write it down and stick my comma in there, and I have 1,676. Over here, let's take a look at 104 times 6. Now this one does have a 0 in the tens place. The rules don't change. We do the same exact thing, but it just looks a little weird when there's a 0. So I wanted to give you 2 examples with that to help you get a better feel for how it works. So we'll go ahead and start with multiplying by the ones place. 6 times 4 is 24. So I'm going to write down my 2 up here, and my 4 down there for 24, and move on to multiplying by my tens place. In the tens place, I'm doing 6 times 0. Well, any number times 0 is 0. 6 times 0 is 0, but the answer is not 0 because I have to add 2 to that. So I do 6 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So my answer down here in the tens place is a 2. Again, kind of a little weird, but that's how it works. Single digit answer, so I don't have to regroup. There's nothing to write over here. I just move on to the hundreds place, and I've got 6 times 1. 6 times 1 is 6, and I'm done with the problem, 624. Pretty easy. Last one we'll work through together is 209 times 8. So I'm going to start over here in my ones place, and I have 9 times 8 in the ones place. So let's go ahead and figure that out. 9 times 8, I'm going to use my 9 stacks finger trick. So I've got my fingers all held up, and I'll count over to the 9th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put my 9th finger down, and then, oh, I'm sorry, I need to put my 8th finger down. Whoops, I'm multiplying by 8. Let's try that again. 9 times 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. I'm going to put down my 8th finger. And then everything to the left of it is going to be my tens place. So I can see that I've got a total of 7 fingers to the left. And then everything to the right of it is my ones place. So I've got 2 fingers there. So it would be 72 is my answer. Write the 7 up here and the 2 down below. And now that moves me to multiplying by the tens place. In the tens place, it is 8 times 0. Get that answer, and then add 7 to it. 8 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 7 is 7. Single digit answer, I don't have to regroup, but I need to keep going to finish off my third toad, which is 8 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16, and I write both digits down, put my comma in, and my answer is 1,672. And of course, my last step would be to go ahead and give Steve the Seagull back his foot. There you go. He looks much better and relieved. All right, Steve, you can go ahead and head on out of here. Goodbye. See you later. Let's take a look at your assignments. So today you're going to go ahead and finish off these 12